All right, guys, we're gonna do 6.2b. So this is more substitution and looks a lot like what we did yesterday, but you'll notice the question is worded a little differently in some of these. It'll say how many solutions does it have? So you won't always get one solution anymore. Sometimes you will get infinitely many solutions, and sometimes you will get no solution, and sometimes you'll get a solution where you have an x and a y value. Your process is the same. So yesterday we had to find the equation that was easiest to isolate a variable. You'll notice in these first two problems that actually in most of these you already have a variable isolated. So if you look at this first problem, which variable is isolated? It's going to be this x right here. Okay, and I do need to switch something because I just realized that this second equation is not the right equation. So just cross that out and write in 3.5x plus 7y equals 14. Okay, that should be the second equation. I don't know what happened there, but somehow I messed that up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to substitute now. We're going to plug in what x equals. So I know x equals this. I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it in right here. Don't forget parentheses here. So you need to go 3.5 times negative 2y plus 4. Okay, technically we'll do this in blue just to not confuse you. So that's 3.5, this is x, plus, so now we're here, 7y equals 14. Okay, so now when we solve this, we're going to distribute 3.5 times negative 2y is negative 7y, plus 3.5 times 4 is 14, plus 7y equals 14. Okay, now look at what we have. Negative 7y plus 7y. Those are both on the left of the equal sign, so you can combine those terms. Negative 7y plus 7y is 0. So your y's just went away. Okay, that leaves you with 14 equals 14. Here's what you need to see from this. Whenever you have a number equals itself, your answer is infinitely many solutions. Okay, if your variable goes away, so there is no variable left, if my variable goes away and it is a true equation, 14 equals 14, 10 equals 10, 11 equals 11, a million equals a million, okay? If it's true, you have infinitely many solutions. Remember when you were graphing? This meant they were the same line, okay? That's what's happening here. It's a line right over top of itself. It's the same line, so you have an infinite number of solutions, okay? Look at the second one. Again, something needs to be isolated. And if you look here, the y is by itself, so I can take 3x minus 11, and I can replace the y with that 3x minus 11. So it's going to be 3x minus 11. Now the parentheses don't do anything here. You're welcome to leave them there, but you don't need them. And then we pick up where we left off. Minus 3x equals negative 13. So now look at what you have. You have 3x minus 3x. That is 0. So all you're left with on the left right now is negative 11. And what you have on the right is negative 13. And negative 11 is not equal to negative 13. When it ends up like that, that is no solution. Okay, so again, your variables went away. So your answer is either going to be infinitely many solutions or no solution. In this case, it's not a true statement, so it is no solution. Okay? All right, example 3. So again, we're going to do substitution. Now, we're looking for a variable that's been isolated. This actually has 2. All it says is x equals y. So you can plug an x in for a y value, or you can plug a y in for an x value. I would plug the y in to this bottom one. So if I know x equals y, I'm going to take out x, I'm going to put in y. So my new equation is y plus 2y equals 3. And if we solve that, 3y equals 3, divide by 3, my y value is 1. Okay, and if my y value is 1, go back up here, if I plug a 1 in, that means my x value is also 1. Okay, so my answer is a point this time, and it is the point 1, 1. Okay. All right, example 4. Again, look for what has been isolated. Y is by itself, so this can take the place of any y in the problem. So we're going to put it right here. Don't forget about the parentheses because you're multiplying by 2. So it's going to be 2 times 2x minus 10. Okay, back up here. We're just finishing off this equation now. Equals x minus 8. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to distribute this. So this is going to be 4x minus 20 equals x minus 8. We're going to take an x away on both sides. So that's 3x. We're going to add 20 to both sides. So we get 3x, this is gone, equals negative 8 plus 20 is 12. And then we're going to divide by 3. So we get x equals 4. Okay, then once we know that x is 4, I would take that and I would go here with it. So we get y equals 2 times 4 minus 10. So y equals 8 minus 10, which is negative 2. So my answer is the point 4, that's my x, negative 2 is my y. Okay, so we're going to do substitution here again, and this one doesn't have an isolated variable, so we need to get a variable by itself. And like I said before, it's easiest to do that when there's no coefficient. And this one has a 1 in front of it. This one has a negative 1 in front of it, so I wouldn't use the negative 1 because that's just an extra step to isolating. So if I want to isolate this x, I would have to subtract 1 from both sides. So now this equation becomes x equals this, 2y minus 1. Okay, so now I know what x equals. This is what x equals. I can take out an x in the next equation and put in what's in the parentheses. So we're going to rewrite that. I'm just rewriting this equation. Negative 2 times my x value, which is 2y minus 1, and then back up to our equation, minus y equals 7. Okay, now we're going to distribute this. So this is negative 4y. This is plus 2 because it's minus a negative. Okay, so plus 2 minus y equals 7. So negative 4y minus y, that's a negative 5y plus 2 equals 7. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides. So we get negative 5y equals 5. And now we're going to divide by a negative 5. So my y value is negative 1. Okay. Then I can take that and I can plug it in right here. So x is equal to 2 times negative 1 minus 1. So x equals negative 2 minus 1. So x is negative 3. Okay, which means my answer is the point. Make sure you put your x first. Negative 3 always, or the x value always comes first, so negative 3, and then my y value, negative 1, and that will be my answer. Okay, so that is what you're doing for today. Very similar to what we did yesterday. Just keep in mind, if your answer comes out to like 17 equals 17, and there is no variable, that is infinitely many solutions. If your answer comes out to 19 equals 18, which is not true, then that would be no solution. So if your variables go away, it's one of these two, infinitely many or no solution.